Good afternoon, and welcome again to another edition of Adult Arts and Crafts from the Warren County Library. Today, I'm going to show you how to make some fall decor that you might want to put on your Thanksgiving table, or you might want to put it on your mantle over the Thanksgiving holiday, or you might like it all year long. It's so pretty. So, this is ripped from the headlines of Better Homes and Gardens magazine, the October issue that we have in the library right now. The paper artist for this program was Corey Beth Hogg, and the event maker extraordinaire and designer, David Stark, was the designer. So I'm going to show you today how you can make any of these pieces by showing you how to make step-by-step how to make the apple. So welcome to the program, and I hope you enjoy this very simple, very effective design. So let me lay that down and come back over to the table, and I'm going to take you step by step through each step of making an apple. So here's the cover of the magazine. As you can see, Better Homes and Gardens, it's the October issue of 2021. And I did attach to the description for the class the link for all the templates. So if you print out the templates, you'll see that they come out like this. They have all kinds of shapes of squash and fruit there. And I suggest you change the shape by taking to a copier. You might want some of them bigger, you might want some of them smaller, but this is what they'll look like. And I just glued them down onto some cardstock so I could trace around them easier. So here's a few of the choices that are there. So you may see that. And I've made most of these, and I've been making some additional things myself. So I hope I inspire you today to make some of these. The template they gave you for the apple was this one here. It's a crab apple, which it tells you to make it 1.5 inches tall if you want the crab, 3 1/4 if you want the Braeburn. I felt that I wanted a rounder apple, so I made mine a little bit bigger, a little bit juicier. As you see right there, that pattern would make my apple that looks like this. I hope you can see it in the light that's here. It's a little bit difficult, but that's an apple that I made. Now I thought, let's make a delicious apple, so I made a little bit longer template here to make a delicious apple, and that would be here, a golden delicious. So you can see how simple it is. The template that you make is a folded, each design is a folded design, and when you cut it out, you'll have the whole shape. So when you do your drawings, if you want to do your own, think about folding your paper first, cutting the shape, and seeing if you like it. As you can see here, this template makes exactly the size of your completed item. So if it's an apple, it's going to come out just like that. So I'm going to put these a couple on the side. Let's see where I'm going to put those. And I'm going to go you step by step how to make an apple. Everything there can be made the same way. So I have a piece of cardstock here. It's not super heavyweight, but it is cardstock. I want to fold it in half because each piece, as I said, is folded to start, and it's going to have the front and back of it be exactly the same size, so you're just cutting at once. So here's my template laying right on top of my folded piece. I'm drawing around it with a pencil, and then I'm going to very carefully cut it out. Now when you're cutting it out, realize that what you want to do is cut each of your pieces out exactly the same way, and they will line up next to the next one, and they will all fit each other perfectly. So I like to cut right inside my pencil line, if at all possible. And then if there's a little extra pencil somewhere on it, I can come back and erase. So there you see the shape of the apple. For each of these fruits or vegetables, you will need to cut 8 parts. So let's see. Sorry. So I've got all of my parts cut, just like I cut that first one. Put those to the side. I don't want to confuse you. And I can see the top has this little dip, the bottom has a different shape, so I know that this is how it's going to go together and it's going to match. So all I used was a regular glue stick. I'm going to put some glue stick on each side that I know I'm going to attach. And now I'm going to take this one and put it right on top of the other one. Because they're exactly the same size, you can really push down. And with the glue stick, it allows you to slide it over if you haven't laid it down perfectly flat. So what you end up with is a piece like that. It's one piece stuck right to the next piece. So do you see that this is the piece that you end up with? It looks like it has a little, you know, a little shark fin on it almost. So say I did that twice. When I've done that twice and I want to do the next piece, I'll take those two pieces and in the same way, I'm going to glue the one right to the other. So here I go again with the glue stick. And realize it's kind of the edge you want to be caught because you want that to really stand together. So here we have piece one and piece two, and I'm just going to basically marry them together. I'm going to slide them so that they're right up tight next to each other. And then when I open it up, I can see that I have them in line. If it's slightly not in line, slide it right away while your glue stick is still wet. Now you can see, after I stuck those two bits together, I have half of my apple complete. So all I need to do is make this shape again. And there it is. And now we're going to stick them together to make my completed three-dimensional apple. So I'm going to put some glue on this side, I'm going to put some glue on this side, and I'm going to marry them together. So let's see how this goes. Now, because it has to stick on front and back, it's a little bit trickier. You have a little bit more to work from. Let's open this up. You can see that I'm on the inside part. That's where I want to put the glue. And here's another thought. If you're planning on putting something like a stem in there, you want to leave a little bit of opening when you get to the top. So I'm going to just stick the one to one. And I have a little bit of extra glue there, so I'm going to just wipe that off. Always keep a little sponge next to you or a little wet rag, because as you can see, this glue is getting a little bit gluey. And I don't want that mess to show, so I'm going to wipe that off with my finger. And I do have a rag on the side here. And now the other half also needs to be stuck together, and that will complete it. At this point, when you're doing this last one, watch that you leave that little opening at the top if you're going to want to put a stem or little stick in there to be the stem. So I'm going to lay this down. The last slot that's open is going to close up my apple and make it complete. I'm putting a little bit too much glue there, but wipe it off. Your fingers work fine. I've never had a reaction from touching glue stick, thank goodness. And cut that little bit of glue out of there. And now if I open it up, and slide, this one is a little bit off. Now you may find that sometimes if you cut something a little differently and it doesn't fit perfectly, you can always do a little bit of a trim somewhere if you don't like the way something is standing out. So there we have a completed apple. Now, if you want to make a stem, sometimes just a little piece of tree branch works perfectly. But if you might want to put a leaf on it, you might want a little double stick like this so that we can put a leaf on there. So let's get a little bit fancy and make a leaf to go on top of our apple. So to make the leaf, I've got a piece of green paper, same kind of paper. It's cardstock, but it's not totally heavy. And I'm going to, let's see, where's my glue? In this case, I'm going to use my tacky glue. Open it up. I'm going to put a little bit of tacky glue on there. I'm going to get real messy today and just use my finger since I've got this nice rag right next to me. And I'm taking a little piece of wire. Now I happen to have the green covered wire, but any kind of wire would work. I'm going to close this up with the wire inside. I'm going to just trim that off so you can see you don't need that whole big piece. What's nice about having that little bit of wire inside is it can look like this center vein in your leaf. And now there's glue all inside there. So I'm going to take my scissor and just make a nice arc on one side and now on the other side. And do you see? If you want to, you could make some veins like so. It kind of looks pretty, depending how fancy you want to get. And now this leaf will slide right down into the top of your apple. So this one has a little bit shorter stem, so you can see I can take it in and put it out. I don't have to glue it there if I don't want, but if I really like where it is, I can glue it in place and say that it's done. So apples are fun to make because you can make any kind of apple. You could make a Granny Smith apple or whatever. So that's why I chose to show you the apple. Something else that was fun about this, if you make a different, if you take a different choice, like perhaps this squash, you can see that I took the cutout of the squash and a little bit of sponge and paint, and I sponged a dark green around the outside, a lighter green, and then a lighter green. And then when I put this together, you can see this is an actual piece, you give this nice little coloration to your finished product. On the apple, I chose to color just 2 of the parts so that when it's standing, you can see all the solids and then you just see a little bit of color peeking out. I think that was kind of fun to do. I was fooling around with cutting the shape of a pear the other night, and I thought, well, why not put a little bit of color like the pear is ripening? So I hope this makes you understand that I came with just a little watercolor down my paper, and when I folded it and cut it out, it had that little bit of color on the one side. So now when I put this together, every sheet has a little bit of color just on the one side. And I thought that that was kind of a fun way to complete it. The other thing I wanted to mention was that I did put a stand on them. They stand up really well on their own, but if you want to put a stand on them, I found all kinds of wooden circles for sale. I think these were from Walmart. They were a package of wood pile, and this whole package, and there was rectangles, ovals, and rounds, was only about $4.50, I think. And so I was able to make stands so they won't fall over. So you can see this would stand on its own, like my apple here that we just made. It wants to roll over a little bit on this table, but they will stand on their own. But if you wanted it to be a little bit more secure, you might want to make a stand for it. So the bumps on this squash was just circles punched out. So you can see, and it gets a little twirl of paper up top. So you can see you could take this idea, and it looks very, very stunning on just solid paper. I mean, this really just really looks like a squash. But if you want to get a little more inventive and a little more artistic, you could do some painting on them. The only one that was a little bit tricky was the acorn, because it needed to be 2 colors of paper, and it's a little bit smaller in size. So I would say make some simple shapes first, and then you'll really have the gist of it by the time you make something small like the acorn. So I'm going to bring the camera back up top. I think I went through that rather quickly. I hope that I made it very clear to you how to make these. I will post again under this video the link for the templates from Better Homes and Gardens, and I hope that you find this and try them. I hope you let me know how it works for you. I had so much fun making this project. You could see I started one and then I just kept going, and I thought, oh, I've got to share this with the folks in the adult arts and crafts class. So I'm glad to see that people came today. I could see several names pop up in there. I see Robert and Faith. I've seen some other folks. So I'm glad you came. I hope you celebrate your Thanksgiving with some cute decor like this. And I just want to say that we all give thanks for our customers, our members. We're glad you're coming in. We love seeing your smiling faces. Some folks haven't been in a while, and they are starting to come back, so we really do appreciate seeing you. My favorite quote about thanks is if the only prayer you ever said was thank you, that would be enough. So let me tell you that I will keep you in my prayers. I thank you for coming, and I look for you next time in the next edition of Adult Arts and Crafts. If you have any questions about this project, please ask underneath, and I will be glad to answer them for you. And know that I'm working on something really adorable for next month, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you then. So have a wonderful day, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and take care.